Okay, and I want to officially welcome all of you, whether you're joining with us live or you're going to be joining with us at a later time and watching this recording. We're excited. We're excited about this particular session. I think it's very practical in the subject. It's something that we never talk enough about. And I think, going into thinking about how I was going out of high school and finishing up and thinking about college, this is something I really would have enjoyed having. And so we think we're going to meet the needs of a lot of you that are in high school. Think about what are some early thoughts and early preparations that I can make on my pathway to teaching agricultural education. And you're going to hear from straight from the source in terms of the experts that are here. You have representatives from Northwestern Oklahoma State University, as well as Oklahoma State University in Stillwater, and some students that are about to go and start on their student teaching experience just this spring semester. Bree, Taryn, when do y'all start?
Our first day of student teaching is the 25th.
Great. Well, I want to hear about that and what you've been doing leading up to that as well. But the representatives that we have, they have all had a very full day today, going back to this morning where we hosted some of our in-person students in Altus, Oklahoma. So they've gone all the way down to Altus and back to their location, whether it be Alva or Stillwater. So that's a long day, and we can't thank them enough for their time that they spent today to be with you. And so let's greet them. And then I wanted to talk just briefly to introduce the subject of the pathway to agriculture education. We'll start with Dr. John Ramsey, who is a professor at Oklahoma State University. I'll give him some time later today to speak about their institute and the things that they offer and things that he wants to speak specifically about. And then also join us together in one screen. I like that. That's Dr. Mindy Clark and Mr. Jack Statz. Many of you know him, I'm sure. So thank you and welcome for everyone, and thank you for being here. And then we also have Taryn Sherman. Taryn, you're from Skytook, Oklahoma, correct? And
yes, sir.
Brianna Rote, who I know a little bit. She was from Edmond, Oklahoma, a former student of mine, and both of these students are about to go become teachers, student teachers, and emphasis on the teacher part of that. So we're excited for them. And what I wanted to do briefly is to talk about the subject of what it means to be on your pathway to teaching ag. When we talk about this, we want some direction, and that's something that is always important, and what our committee is all about. And I say our committee because I'm a part of a committee that is called the STAR Committee, and it's through the OAETA, and STAR stands for State Teach Ag Results. Along with me on that committee is here again today, Mr. Cody Dean from Okarche. You see him there, and he's joined us. And so we're in-service ag teachers that are a part of this group that's all about trying to recruit and also retain the teachers that we have and just strengthen our profession here in Oklahoma. And so a big part of that is making sure that we start now with our high school students. And I'm so excited that you're thinking about agriculture education this early on. And so I want to try sharing my screen briefly. There is a poster that was created by our group that is all about your pathway to agriculture education. And I'm not going to go into too much detail about this, but as you see this poster, we say it all the time, and we don't just, it's not just blowing smoke. We do all believe it's the best career ever. And I've left and I've come back, and I can tell you there's just there's no career I can think of that is as fun, as diverse, and is such a great training ground for you to work all parts of your skill set and your brain, and get to be around people, young people, older parents, all of those kinds of folks. And it's just it's such a strong fraternity and sorority, as Mr. Stat said today, of teachers and professionals, and it's such a great opportunity. And so when we talk about that pathway, there's some things that you can look at here on this poster, and I'm going to drop this in the chat, and you can keep this and save it. And what we'll intend to do is share all these with every program in the state so they can be hanging on the walls of your ag ed program. But this is kind of a flow chart of all the different options that you have, all on the pathway to that end point of becoming an ag teacher. And you've got some contact information from our 3 teacher prep institutes, including Northwestern and Oklahoma State University. But on this list, you can see if you're in high school now, which we're talking to you, this is a really useful list of some things to start doing now, immediately, to help set you on your way to becoming an agriculture education teacher. And I'm not going to steal from Taryn and Bree when they talk about what they did in college and what they recommend you do in college, but this list is focused on preparing for your career while you're in college. And even since I've been in college, there's been a major growth in number of opportunities that are offered through OATA, the NAAE, things like being a Teach Ag ambassador or attending the Future Agriscience Teacher Symposium. These are all really, really cool opportunities that we've had some teachers that are currently in Oklahoma participate in the past. And so you can also look through this. I'm not going to bore you with the details right away, but depending on whatever your situation is, if you're interested in going to a 2-year degree program first, or if you want to go directly to a 4-year school, this kind of flow chart gets you the start there. And it tells you, what can I do? And you can see this checklist: meet with an agriculture education or related faculty or advisor. Well, you're getting a jump start on that today. You're getting to meet them and be in person with them. Enroll in agriculture education or related coursework, which they're going to advise you in all of those things. If you're transferring from a 2-year school, make sure that that all your credits apply toward your 4-year degree, and visit as many agriculture teachers in their classrooms as possible. That starts now as well. I mean, we've said it today, networking with other teachers, can't say it enough. That's how critical that is. And then lastly, if it's desired, that's something we might ask as a question. Some of you may pursue advanced degrees in agriculture education, like a master's or further. So with that being said, we can revisit this, but I'm going to drop this link to this poster in the chat so that you can all keep that, and I'll email it as an attachment to you later. But it's a useful tool just to remind yourself, okay, what are my options? And then who do I contact here in Oklahoma to work toward that pathway to teaching? And so we've got some great experts here to talk to you about that today. And if it's okay with you, we're going to go in reverse order from what we did in Altus, and I'll have Dr. Ramsey. And let me introduce to you, because he joined us just a few minutes ago, Mr. Nathan Smith is also an instructor at Oklahoma State University. He has the awesome job of getting to teach all of you some of the really useful skills as it relates to agriculture, power and technology, electricity, mechanics, structures. And so hopefully he can share some of the coursework that he teaches. And he does a really important role with placing student teachers and advising. And so that's another, we're excited that he's here to join us as well. So if the gentleman from OSU would like to share for a while about their institute and things they want you to know as you're on your pathway to teaching ag, I'll hand it off to them and you guys take it away.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Appreciate the opportunity to share. First of all, I have to say hello to Caitlin Tychendal. Hello, Caitlin. How are you? The reason I'm picking
I'm
on
good. How are you?
it's good to see you.
It's
The reason
good
I'm
to see
picking on
you
Caitlin a
too.
little bit is because I taught her aunt when I was an ag teacher at Cushing. So there's a moral to that story. You can run, but you can't hide. And that's one of the cool things about ag ed, is that if you stick around long enough, you get to teach the students, the children of your former students. So that's pretty cool. And Payson, thank you for coming back. This is your second virtual experience. Those ag teachers there must be standing in the background giving you the stink eye or something. Is that true? Is that happening?
Oh no, this was voluntary. I wanted to do this.
Awesome. This is all you.
Yes, sir.
And I've seen Grace before. She was on the call earlier this week, right? Very good. And Miley, how are you? Thumbs up. Can you say hello?
Hi.
There you are. All right. That's good. That's good. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right. Well, so as Mr. Jones said, Mr. Smith and I represent Oklahoma State University, and we're excited to share a little bit about our institution and some of the things that we do here. In the chat, I put a link to our catalog, and we'll kind of revisit that here in a little bit. It talks a little bit about the degree requirements for your bachelor's degree in agricultural education with teacher certification. I think that's important to remember, that when you're coming to school, no matter if it's for your school, to your institution, however you're going to do that, at the junior college level, you're going to earn a associate's degree, right? And then when you come to a four-year institution like Northwestern or OSU, you're going to work on a bachelor's degree. And the cool thing about the bachelor's degree at our institutions is that you're also going to earn and complete the requirements for a teaching credential, which is like a 2-for-1, right? So you're really preparing yourself in a variety of ways to do the greatest job on the planet. And so a little bit about our program, a little bit about our faculty and our TAs that I think is important to know. I think all of us, when we pursue a career, we want to invest our time and our energy and our resources into something, we want to know that we're getting a quality product. And in our case, and in all the cases of all the institutions that work to prepare teachers, you're working with folks that have been in the job, they've done the job, they understand what it means to be an ag teacher, they understand what it means to be an effective FFA advisor, they've had those experiences. The TAs that you get a chance to work with in our program represent several different states. We have TAs that come from Missouri. When I say TAs, I'm talking about a teacher's assistant that help TA or facilitate the labs that you're in our program. And so the labs are the part of the program where you get to apply and do and try out all the skills that we teach you to become a teacher. So whether that's learning how to engage student learning and doing a link motivation overview or an anticipatory set or whatever you want to call that, getting students ready to learn, well, you're going to get a chance to see folks do that. You're not just going to hear about it, you're going to see it. And then you're going to get to practice it in the labs. And so, and the folks that are facilitating those labs, as I said, have been high school ag teachers. And so we've got Missouri represented, we have Oklahoma represented. Those are the two states currently. We've recently graduated someone that taught high school ag in California. We've had TAs that have been literally from all over the country that have come here and helped us train the next generation of ag teachers. So I think that's important to note. I think it's important for you to know that the folks that you're going to learn from have been there, experienced that, and have learned from those experiences and are very willing to help to share those with you. Now, most everybody wants to talk about or wants to know, so are there scholarships? Is there anybody sitting in here, Caitlin and Miley and Grace, are you interested in scholarships? Payson, would you like to know about the scholarships? All right. So all the institutions have great ways to help finance and help fund your education. We're very fortunate at Oklahoma State to be the beneficiaries of some really visionary folks that early on, 30 years ago, 35, 40 years ago, they said, hey, it's really important that we have a pipeline of young ag teachers. And we think that it's really important to have a scholarship to facilitate that. So the OSU Ag Ed Scholarship Incorporated Scholarship Program is available to you each semester that you're a student at OSU in the teacher prep program. And so that scholarship ranges from $1,500 to $2,000, depending upon the amount of money that we have at that time and the number of applicants that we have. And I say it's not a scholarship that's really OSU. I don't make the decisions about who gets the scholarship. There's a board that does that works tirelessly and looks at the applications and identifies those individuals they deem worthy of the scholarship. And then they're awarded that way. So again, those happen twice a year. So that's really a unique program that we have here at our institution. The other thing I talked to you a little bit about is the fact that we had a donor that said, how can I help and what is the need? And we said the need is really about the student teaching experience. So Taryn and Brianna in the next couple of weeks are going to get money put into their Bursar account that they can use to pay off their Bursar bill or pay down their Bursar bill, or if they have a zero balance, that money can be used directly and goes right into their pocket that they can use during the student teaching experience. So that's our scholarship. That's just a little bit about our scholarships. There's a lot of other scholarships that I could talk about, but those are the two primary ones that we feel are really important for people to know when they're thinking about coming to Oklahoma State and pursuing ag ed and teacher preparation. The last thing I'd leave you with in terms of just the facilities here, we're really excited about our new Ag Hall. We have a dedicated space in that building that'll be, I believe it's on the second floor. That'll be a teaching facility that's just for ag ed teacher preparation. And we're going to be able to focus on some really cool things in that particular space. It's going to be set up much like a high school classroom. If you ever have the chance to go to Edmond and look at one of their facilities, for example, it looks a little bit like a science classroom. And so they have a lot of the features that you would see in a science classroom. We're going to be able to do some of those kind of things. There's going to be some real flexibility to that space. So we're really excited about being there. And as the track that you're on, you'll be some of the first students that'll graduate from that facility. Or be in that facility and be able to take classes in there. So we're really excited about that as well. I think that's all I want to say at this point in time, but I will ask Mr. Smith if he has anything he'd like to add to that. And then we'll pitch it over to our colleagues at Northwestern.
Now, I think Dr. Ramsey covered most of the high points there. I just mainly wanted to say hello and introduce myself. Mr. Jones, thank you for the introduction. I do appreciate that. Yes, I am one of the instructors here. I get the privilege of teaching the shop classes, so still get to experience most of kind of the normalcy of what teaching high school ag was like for me for 10 and a half years. So that's always the fun thing. I have a line in my syllabus that tears are welcome, but quitting's never an option. So always remember that as you go through your college career, regardless of what it is. It's going to push you. It's going to stretch your limits. It's going to stretch things that you thought you might have known. But that's a good thing, because that's just allowing you to track further into the position of becoming a young professional teacher and allowing to make the same impact on your student's life that was made on yours, hopefully by your ag teacher as well. Grace, tell your ag teacher to quit texting me and trying to derail me on my speech here. So, hi, Rebecca. So, but no, I don't have anything to add to that. Just wanted to say hello and greetings. I'm excited to see everyone. I'm excited to see you on campus if you decide to come join us here at Oklahoma State University. And I'm sure that Taryn and Brianna is going to tell you all of the things that you actually want to know tonight. So listen to what they have to say.
All right, thank you both. I appreciate the words there. At this time, as we introduce them, we're excited that they were able to make, I guess Mr. Stats must have been driving, because I was telling him it seemed like he outpaced the folks that were in Stillwater, and Nalva's even that much further they had to go. So pretty impressive driving there. Must have been an ag teacher. I don't know. So, but we now want to swing over to our folks from Northwestern Oklahoma State University in Alva. That's Dr. Clark and Mr. Stats. And so if you two will take it away, we'd love to hear from you about your institute.
Well, Mason, thank you for allowing us to be at all of these places 2 in 1 day. It's been fun being on the road with Mr. Stats. This is Mr. Stats' first year at Northwestern. Most of you remember him as the State of FFA advisor. And so we're excited to have him at Northwestern. And so I got to know him a little bit better on our drive today, and how fast he drives. And we stopped and looked at these portable buildings on the side. He's just like driving with an ag teacher. So it was fun. We stopped along the way, and then we took different routes that he knew the better way through a town. And so definite, true example of an ag teacher. So it's been a fun day. But so I'll just talk to you briefly about just Northwestern in general, and then I'll turn it over to Mr. Stats. But Miley, it's good to see you're pretty close to us. So are you at Alene tonight?
Yeah, well, I'm in Alene. Yes, I live there, but I go to school at Burlington.
Right. So I didn't know if you were with Mr. Shaw or here.
No, we didn't get the chance to be with Mr. Shaw because one of our boys' basketball team players, they got tested positive COVID, so we got sent home.
Oh, gotcha.
You get to, I like that.
Got sent home, yeah. Well, so we are in Alva, so in the northwest part of the state. So if you go to Blackwell on I-35, it's about an hour and 15 minutes west. So if you're not familiar where Alva is. And we also have campuses in Enid and Woodward. And so like Dr. Ramsey said, you know, you can really choose that route however you want to get to that four-year institution. So you could, you know, go to a junior college, which I think it's important to note that in Oklahoma, if you do get your associate's degree at one of those junior colleges, that it is easy to transfer those hours to Oklahoma State or to Northwestern or any four-year institution because it's an in-state associate's degree. So we're governed by the same Board of Regents that put our general education requirements in place. So so if that is a route you're planning to go toward, that junior college, that two-year institution, if you get that associate's degree, it is pretty easy to transfer, you know, those hours, and your general education requirements for the most part should be met at that four-year institution. So really that's, you know, the general education requirements are, you know, kind of the first part of your college experience, but many of you are probably taking hours in high school. Raise your hand if you're already taking concurrent classes. I find several of our students, they do that, and those hours typically transfer in just fine. And so I would say that as you prepare, you know, if you're taking concurrent classes, you know, to take some of those general education courses that are required, like Comp 1, Comp 2, you know, college algebra, things like that, that might be transferable. I had a student who had taken just a really off math class that didn't transfer in. So if you have the option, that's just my recommendation. You could do, you know, whatever you would like. But if you are taking concurrent classes, make sure they're the you know, just kind of the general education classes that seem to transfer well. So from there, from the general education requirements, we have agricultural content classes, and then we have our professional education classes. And so you would take, you know, animal science, plant science, your ag business classes, horticulture. I can't think off the top of my head all of those ag content area courses, but so you would have those, and then you'd have professional education courses such as students with exceptionalities and child and adolescent psychology, courses like that, so you could you know, learn how to work with those learners. So so at Northwestern, you know, Mr. Stats and I, we bridge the gap. We're agricultural education, so we teach those ag ed specific courses. So you get ag content and you get professional education, and then from us you get agricultural education classes. So it'd be similar to other programs, I'm sure, but so that's really the process here. Just a couple of things about, you know, Dr. Ramsey talked about scholarships, and so I know that was always my question about scholarships as well. And so we have several opportunities. So we have incoming scholarships, university and departmental. So from the Ag Ed program, we offer incoming freshman scholarships. And then we're also offering a $500 scholarship to those who have signed at the Teach Ag events. And so that's something we were able to offer this year that we're pretty excited about. And then as a returning student, we offer, our agriculture department has the highest number of scholarship monies available across our campus. So we're able to offer returning students money. And then once you're involved in the agricultural or in the education program here, we also have some departmental scholarships that are for our students who are committed to education, and they have been accepted into our teacher education program here on campus. So we have a lot of opportunities for scholarships. Just briefly, and I can drop links into the chat where we've got our camera turned around so we can capture both of us, but there we have a virtual spring showcase, and it is for high school juniors, seniors, and college transfers. And because of COVID, it's virtual this year. So if you're interested, if you just watch their video, you are eligible for their $500 scholarship just for watching that video. So if that's something that you're interested in, it's free money. So, and even if you're on the fence, it's still worth attending just for the $500 scholarship that you may or may not use if you decide to attend. One other thing that we were talking about, Dr. Ramsey and Mr. Smith, and us, we were talking today about the ACT, and it's important to note that on the ACT, and Dr. Ramsey and Mr. Smith, you feel free to interject, but if you have a cumulative score of a 22 and you took the writing test, that you wouldn't have to take the OGET, which is one of the 3 certification requirements to be a certified teacher in Oklahoma. So if you do take the ACT, and if you're planning to take the ACT again, it might be worth your time to take that writing test, because it could, if you have the right score, it could exempt you later on when you're in college and you're poor and you don't have any money because you're just a poor college kid. It could exempt you from having to pay that money to take the OGET, which is the Oklahoma General Education Test.
I think it's just an additional $15 on the writing test, I think, if you add it. So that's a lot cheaper than what you take the general education.
Absolutely. So with that, that's a little bit about Northwestern, and I'll try to drop our view book link into the chat, and I'll let Mr. Stats visit for a second.
Well, guys, I'm just excited to see you. I will tell you, you know me well enough that I guess, would I be partial? I'd love to have you at Northwestern, but I'd say this, it's more important to me as a ag teacher, former ag teacher, someone that's been in the State Department. I just want you to teach agriculture education. I think it's that important. I think that I'm proud that you made the decision to step forward, that you're thinking about it and you want to make that commitment. I don't think that there's a profession without question. I've told young people all the time, there's not a question. Can you make more of an impression, more of a dent, more of a mark, more of an opportunity for others than teaching agriculture education? That realm is wide open. And I'm excited. I was excited to see all the students today. I'm excited to see you here now. I would tell you, I'd also offer this to you. There is no one sitting here in front of you that you're seeing that presented a program that will not, without question, go the extra mile if you call and ask a question, if you need some help, if you need a return on an email, if you need a phone call, if you need letters, if you need support. There's no one on either one of these staffs that won't help you. Also, I'm going to even include our 2 young teachers that are included on here that's presented this program. These young teachers that have helped develop the STAR program or this teacher induction, hey, call one of them. I'll promise you there's no one in the ag business that won't help you. I think that you will find out that the support mechanism within the agricultural education field is unquestionably the strongest that you can run into. And that excites me. And by you just being here and by you just sitting here saying you want to be part of it, you're already in that mechanism. So that makes me very happy. I would tell you, I'm very happy to be back in visiting with young people and teaching young people. The hardest thing when I was state FA advisor, the hardest thing for me was to give up the everyday interaction with young people. You'll find out that's one of those things that you really, if you're teaching school, and I think if you're good and committed at it, that's one of those things that you will truly miss, that interaction. And so I'm happy to do that again. And I'm also happy to be at a university here that's been very open to any suggestions. If we thought there was something, if there's a suggestion that we think that needs to happen that will help the agriculture education major, will make the field stronger, this institution is wide open, said, hey, change your class, rewrite it, let's redo something, let's revamp, we'll gather money. And so that makes me excited that we're going to be able to continue to meet the needs of agriculture education students. But I'm going to leave you now and just say, I'm excited that you've made this decision. And I will tell you too, sometimes when you're taking those general agriculture education classes in that first 2 years, of going to school. If you're going to a 4-year school at Northwestern or Oklahoma State and taking general ed, and you're not totally, or excuse me, if you don't have that everyday interaction with that agriculture education department, go find one of those people, stay committed, participate in agriculture education. I told them today, don't just be in agriculture education, be involved in agriculture education. Go be part of the collegiate scene, but go be part of a club, be part of an organization, meet other young people that wants to go ahead and teach agriculture education. Go do some things to stay involved where you can continue that interest in that and that lust to teach agriculture education. And so I would ask you to make sure that you stay involved and stay participating in those, whether it be go back and help with OYE, go back to help with state convention, go back at local chapters and help with speech contests, with CDEs, with LDEs, to even maybe go just support their class, but stay involved. And really, I'm truly excited to see you here, and I appreciate your commitment.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Stats. Thank you, Dr. Clark. At this point, and that's a great segue to what our next presenters are going to discuss. But before we pass that on to them, I want to remind all of you that are students, if at any point in time you have a question, you're in front of a group of people that have the answers, and do not take that for granted. So don't be bashful about asking questions. Is there anyone in the group at this moment that has anything for our folks from Northwestern or our folks from OSU or both? Okay. What I will tell you is, as I said at the beginning, you've got a lot of options, especially in a state like Oklahoma with our population. It's really impressive the options that you do have in terms of schools that you can attend, on your path to becoming an agriculture education teacher, and they're great options. Also, before I pass on to Bree and Taryn, she's joined us, and I know she's probably busy and running a lot of errands, but Miss Cameron Dale is here. She's a part of our STAR committee along with Mr. Dean and several others. And so I don't want to put her on the spot since she's driving, but I just wanted you to realize that she's a part of our group. She teaches ag at Bartlesville, Oklahoma, and has been a person that's been on our STAR committee and really is the leader of all of our things that we do. And so we're excited that she's here with us as well today. So students, do ask questions if you can. But the other thing I would point out, all of the folks that you just heard from Northwestern and from OSU, it may seem obvious. I don't know. I don't want to say this, but you should also know they are all former ag teachers. All have taught ag in Oklahoma and have a really great amount of experience. And that's something you're learning from people that are outstanding in their profession. And so that's really what's also cool about that is they're very approachable. Doesn't matter if you've met them before or not. Do not hesitate to go up and introduce yourself to them next time you see them in person, because I know they'd be excited to get to visit with you. All right, with that being said, we are ready to hear from our upcoming student teachers that are about to go out into the field. And I know they're nervous and excited, but we're happy to hear from them in such a really important time in their life. And so we're also grateful that they took some time out this evening because, correct me if I'm wrong, are y'all still technically on a winter break? Yeah. Okay. So thanks again for being here. And they're going to give you some really good practical advice. And please drill these two, because I bet you cannot stump them. They're going to know it. And they've both been very active in going back to high school, very active in FFA. And that's transcended into their experiences as college students, as active college students where they're at. So I'll let them tell a little bit more about their experience, and then they're going to share a screen presentation with you as well. Take it away.
Okay, well, thank you, Mason, for having us. As he mentioned, my name is Taryn Sherman, and I'm a senior at Oklahoma State, about to start student teaching on January 25th at Tipton. So we're really looking forward to that. And with that, I'll let Bree introduce herself.
Yeah, so my name is Brianna Rote. I'm also going to be student teaching this semester, and I'm going to be at Timberlake Schools, which is in Helena in the northwest part of the state. And I'm also starting on the 25th. And then kind of like Mr. Jones said, we're excited, we're nervous, and we're really just looking forward to this time that we get to have with students and to really become the best possible teachers that we can be and to continue learning. So I'll let Taryn start the presentation.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen with you guys. There we go. So today we just wanted to talk to all of you about collegiate preparation as a future ag teacher and what you can be doing right now as seniors in high school, and then through your first, especially your freshman and sophomore year, and then as you get to be older in your junior and senior classes. So first we wanted to start with your do's and don'ts.
Yeah, so just wanted to mention that these are just from our personal experience, and everyone's collegiate experience is going to be a bit different. But as we were discussing this is just the list of do's and don'ts that we thought were most important from the last 3.5, 4 years of being in Stillwater. So the first do is get to know faculty, and specifically get to know faculty early. Obviously, we're right now going through a pandemic, so you may not be able to necessarily drop into your faculty's office, especially considering social distancing, but you can set up a Zoom meeting or just get to know them, really get to build a connection and a relationship with faculty members. It can open so many doors for you, whether that be campus opportunities, maybe some undergraduate research, depending on where you're at, job opportunities, or situations like this one, and how I've served as an Ag Ed ambassador for the STAR Committee. A lot of times the STAR Committee will, take into consideration what faculty members have to think of people in the student teaching cohort or in the undergraduate classes. So definitely just get to know them and do so pretty early on into your career. So.
And then we also, go ahead.
Taryn, can you just elaborate a little bit on that, getting to know faculty members a little? So is it hard? Are we like scary? I know. Can you talk a little bit about that? Just maybe a little more?
Yeah. So here at OSU, at least, you don't necessarily take an Ag Ed class with your faculty members normally till you're a junior. And so those first 2 years, you may not see your faculty member or your advisor. For instance, if it's Dr. Ramsey, you may only see him once a semester when you go in to do your advising meeting. So they're not scary. I can't tell you how many times I have knocked on his door and asked if I could go pester him and ask him questions and pick his brain about teaching ag or about opportunities that are available to me to help build my resume and to help cultivate me as an ag teacher. They're definitely not. I mean, they can be intimidating at first, but they're so nice and they genuinely want to help you. And it is like a family up here on the 4th floor. So.
Good job, Bree.
Thank you.
Next, we wanted to emphasize to stay organized. I'm sure a lot of you guys have already been told, make sure you have a planner, make sure you write everything down. But we really can't emphasize that enough with writing down your classes, your homework, your meetings, social events, just to stay on top of things as much as you can is going to help eliminate stress and help you to stay ahead of things. And kind of just be more successful, not only in the classroom, but also in your social and everyday life. So staying organized is super important.
Yeah. We also really recommend getting involved on campus. So there are dozens, hundreds maybe of clubs here on campus, and I'm sure it's the same for Northwestern. There's plenty of clubs. There's something for you to get involved in that you really are passionate about. And then specifically for Ag Ed, we have Collegiate FFA, we have this co-ed fraternity, technically, called Alpha Tau Alpha that you can join. And then those are just 2 of the other ways that you can get involved on campus with people who are passionate about the same things as you and can really make this experience the best it can possibly be for you. So.
And then we wanted to emphasize to find a good place to study. Probably in high school, a lot of you or most of you, maybe all of you, didn't have to study, but that is not the case in college. Don't let that scare you. It's definitely doable and you will learn a lot, but you're going to have to put in more effort. So maybe studying in bed 10 minutes before you go to sleep isn't the answer anymore. So that could be maybe the library. My personal favorite has always been Panera. You have the fire, you have nice music, and you can really focus. Just get somewhere where you are going to really be able to zone into what you're doing and just focus on the task you're working on.
Yeah. Building off of that, by the way, really take into consideration that what she said about studying needing to be a priority in college. So you have to have at least a 2.5 GPA to graduate Ag Ed, and I'm pretty sure that's university wide. So you really do need to stick on top of your classes, and studying and finding a good place to do so is so important, speaking from experience. But our next point is applying for scholarships. I know this has already been talked about today during the Northwestern presentation, so I won't spend a whole lot of time discussing it, but there's a lot of opportunity to apply for scholarships here, whether that be or anywhere really, whether that be in our department, in the College of Ag, or in the university as a whole. So really look out for scholarships. They can also take a huge weight off your shoulders when you just don't have to worry quite so much about that bill on your Bursar account. So.
And then for our list of don'ts, I think the first one could easily be one of the most important, if not the most, is don't come into college and limit yourself. All of you guys are here because you found something that you're very passionate about within FFA, and that grew your passion and your desire to help future students become to their full potential. So you're going to come into college with something that you're very knowledgeable about, something that is probably your favorite, but don't stick to that. If you showed cattle in high school, don't just get involved with cattle shows and with block and bridle. Like that can be great, and that can be something that you do to kind of meet people who have the same interests, but get involved in maybe the swine club or the horticulture club. Just don't stick to what you know, because as all of you guys know, great agricultural educators are well-rounded. And so I think college is a great opportunity to become well-rounded yourself in a place that is non-judgmental, and it's okay to fail right now because nothing is on the line. You're just getting to learn and get that experience in for free.
And don't be afraid to ask questions. So we're telling you to step out of your comfort zone, try something maybe you're not as comfortable with. Like Taryn said, maybe you're all about showing cattle right now, and then you join the horticulture club and you have absolutely no idea what you're doing, and that's okay. But while you're in college, and even after you graduate, and when you're a young ag teacher, don't be afraid to ask questions. You're never going to know all that there is to know. And while some people are considered experts, there's always something more to learn. And so have those mentors, have people that you can go to and ask questions, and don't be afraid, because at one point, everyone had questions.
And then don't stress yourself out. This one can be very difficult. And there's going to be a lot on your plate in college, probably more than you've ever had. But just make sure you're staying on task. And I think this kind of goes back to staying organized. Make sure you know what you have going on. Make sure you're getting your homework done ahead of time. Make sure you're not waiting till the last minute to plan your lessons. Make sure you're studying up on that and just staying ahead on things. If you get overwhelmed, just remember that everything's going to work out, that you'll get through it, and that someone before you has went through the exact same things and they're doing okay now. So if you ever need someone, I just think of the ag teachers that I looked up to in high school and even now, and see where they're at, and just focus on where I'm going and what I want to be.
Yeah. And then don't overcommit yourself. And I know that sounds like we're backtracking on what we've already said. We told you to get involved on campus and not to limit yourself. But I think at times we can take that a bit too far. And so maybe being involved in 10 different clubs and a sorority or fraternity, and you're doing undergraduate research, and you're trying to be an intern at this business or whatever the case may be, maybe that is too much, and maybe that will promote more stress in your life. And so, especially I think towards the end of your freshman year of college and the beginning of your sophomore year, you come to realize what a happy medium is for you. And that can be different for everybody. So maybe you'll find those 2 or 3 clubs that maybe you want to be more involved in. And then you have, a sorority or fraternity or whatever the case may be, if that is the plan or the plan you have for yourself. Just you'll come to know that there is a point in which you start to overburden yourself and stretch yourself too thin, and you can get yourself burnout. And so really look for that happy medium when it comes to what you're doing on campus or outside of school, and try not to overcommit yourself.
And then to talk about collegiate opportunities, there are a lot more than we're going to be able to cover today. So if you have any questions, let us know. But the first one is going to be honor societies. There are very many different specific honor societies at every single college. One that is universal to any college with an ag department is going to be Alpha Zeta. And that is going to be an honor society for the upper level of the College of Ag students. So that's something to kind of keep on your mind and on your plate as you're entering in your freshman year, and kind of some motivation to study, to work hard, and to keep your grades up early on.
Yeah, and then our next bullet point is specifically for OSU, but I'm sure the same is for Northwestern. This is just from our experience, but there are lots of clubs within Ferguson College of Agriculture here that you can get involved in that are related to what we're going to be doing as future educators. So there's Collegiate FFA, Swine Club, Dairy Club, Horticulture Club, just to name a few. There's several, and that really gives you the opportunity to learn more about all these different areas of agriculture and ag ed that can really help you moving forward.
And then we wanted to touch on our early field experience. And if you don't know yet, by the time that you go student teach, you are required to have 60 hours of early field experience within agricultural education. And again, that's for any university within the state of Oklahoma, just any person's pursuing agricultural education. So one of those opportunities is at Oklahoma State, Ag Ed 3201. And that is a class with Dr. Terry where you are assigned a CDE event and you are considered the student superintendent. And with that, you will get to work with Oklahoma State staff, with some staff at Career Tech, and the students who participate in that CDE. And you kind of get to see the behind the scenes work that goes into it, the setting up, the preparation, and just anything that's involved that maybe you don't see as an FFA member. And even if you don't go to Oklahoma State, this is something you can get involved in pretty easily because these student superintendents are always looking for volunteers. And we'll talk a little bit about that later, but that's a great opportunity and one that you can get involved in earlier on in your first 2 years. Then we have you want to go?
I was just gonna pop in and say that's a really good point. Like I mentioned earlier, you don't really get any ag ed courses before your junior year. So Ag Ed 3201 is an incredible way for you to really dive into the department, get to know people, and really, build connections with your peers, maybe as a freshman or a sophomore. So.
And then we have MFE or ALD Chaperone, which I'm sure most of you guys know what that is. It's a leadership conference. I think that's a good way, again, early on in your college career when you're not getting your ag ed classes in yet, to get to see those students face to face, get to meet them, get to be reminded of the degree that you're pursuing and why you're pursuing it, as well as you get to network with a lot of the other ag teachers who are there to drop kids off, pick them up, or to chaperone as well. So that's a really neat opportunity. State convention volunteers, if you wanted to reach out to Mr. Lucas your freshman year of college and just serve in whatever way he needs. Again, that's a great networking opportunity and a reminder of why you're doing what you're doing. CDE contest judge. There's lots of different CDEs, and again, the Ag Ed 3201 supervisors are always looking for volunteers, and that's a good way to get involved in something that maybe you don't have prior experience in. So keep your options open with that. Bree, did I interrupt you?
No, you're okay. I just didn't want to make you do the whole list because I know it can be a lot. The next bullet is program visits. So you'll get the opportunity to do a little bit of this during your coursework in Ag Ed. So you'll get to visit a few with Dr. Ramsey as a junior, and then you'll also even get to teach some actual high school students as a senior, getting ready to go out and student teach. So this is really important, but also you can do program visits outside of your classes. And that's really, really important. They can count for those hours of early field experience. It's a really good way to continue networking. And then you can also just get more of an idea of what you see your future program looking like, and get ideas from ag teachers that maybe you didn't know prior to this time in your life. The next one is being a future agricultural education Teachers Academy intern. So I've actually gotten to serve as an intern for several summers during my college career. It's a really great opportunity for you to, number one, continue working with Ag Ed faculty, but in a more professional setting. So I got to work with Dr. Ramsey really closely, coming up with more ideas for the Ag Ed Academy. And also I got to work with future ag teachers when they were still in high school. And I got to share more of my experience, as well as continually learn more from the ag teachers who help run Ag Ed Academy every summer as well. So it's a really great opportunity. If you are interested in doing that, Dr. Ramsey is the one who really is in charge of that internship. And so I would encourage reaching out to him when you get to OSU, if you choose to go to OSU, because that is a really incredible opportunity and it's so much fun as well. And then the last one is an NAAE Teach Ag Ambassador. Going along with that, there's also the STAR Committee Ambassador. So NAAE is the National Association of Agricultural Educators. They also have Teach Ag Ambassadors on the national level, which you can apply for, and then they do a workshop at National Convention. And then there's also this Teach Ag Ambassador, which works directly with the STAR Committee in recruiting and retaining ag teachers here in Oklahoma. And so both of those are really great opportunities. With the NAAE ambassador, I think that is just an application process and then interviews. And then this one with the STAR Committee, I don't think it's an application, or maybe it will be moving forward. I think I was recommended by faculty. So that's another reason to really get in good with faculty and build those connections. So.
I think that's all that we had. If you guys have questions, or Mason, I don't know what the next steps are, but thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. So
that is a lot of really good information. I appreciate you both for sharing that. What I would say is it may seem like sipping from a fire hose, all of the things they threw at you in terms of the opportunities. And so what I would recommend to you is maybe perhaps with their permission, I can share their email in a follow-up message that she'll receive from me. But reach out to these folks like this, because they're going to give you advice like that. Now, you heard from 2 Oklahoma State University students, and that some of the things that they spoke about were specific to their school. I would like to, if there is any, it just led me to ask the question for those that are interested in going to Northwestern or otherwise, what are some courses or what are some student organizations that you would always recommend to your incoming students to get plugged in on campus there? So maybe Dr. Clark, you can speak to that.
Absolutely. So first off, great job, girls. You've done a nice job representing ag education as collegiate ambassadors. So, and many of the things that they said, that applied to OSU will apply to other universities as well. So, for example, for student organizations, we have several on campus. In terms of for the agriculture department, we have 2. We have our Oklahoma Farm Bureau, we offer a student organization through them, and then our Aggie Club, which is our ag student organization. We also have our education clubs on campus that many of our ag education students are a part of. But you know, it's a broad spectrum of interests. The first week of campus, they'll all set up out in front of the library, and they give you an opportunity to ask questions, and they were even able to offer that this year with COVID, just with different just social distancing guidelines. But so we have I don't know how many on campus, but as far as in the ag department, we have a couple of opportunities to get involved, and we really rely on those students to help us with like our interscholastics contest. They've got the opportunity, just like with student organizations, like at OSU, to travel to different parts of the state, but also to maybe some conferences nationally. And so it just provides that that extra opportunity to get involved. And I would echo what the ambassador said. It's not about the number that you're involved in, but if you choose to get involved, really get involved and be a part of something. We all attended, Mr. Smith and Dr. Ramsey and Mr. Sess and I all attended the Three Circle Summit last year in Indianapolis, and they went through a resume, and they said it's great if you're involved in all of these organizations, but if you're not doing anything in them, then what does that mean? So make those experiences meaningful, get involved, maybe organize an event, because that'll show that future employer that maybe you've got some leadership and organizational skills versus just a line on the resume that I'm in the math club. So anyway, just that's kind of my recommendation from my takeaway from that when they went through the resume. But so lots of student opportunities and lots of opportunities to get involved. Mr. Stats, I think his third week here, he took several students to go judge an opening ceremonies contest. So, several opportunities to get involved, and to get involved, especially those years before you're taking those core agricultural education classes. That's really important to get involved that freshman and sophomore year with the faculty in ag education.
So I have a question for the high school students. So who's feeling a little overwhelmed? It's okay. Grace. So here's my point. We serve, first of all, Mr. Jones made the point, and I think I referenced it earlier. We've all been high school ag teachers. And at the beginning, middle, and end of being a high school ag teacher is student focus. We're focused on students. It wouldn't do us any good to do this and be here and provide all this information if you weren't successful when you got here. So we serve as advisors. We don't get to say the cool out part every day, but we do advise, and we're here to help guide the experience, because everybody's different. This isn't a cookie cutter approach. What's good for Bree and what's good for Taryn may not be the right fit or the right path. So as an advisor, I'm here to hear what your needs are. And we are going to create a pathway that's going to fit those needs. So if you tell me that, hey, I've got brown thumbs. I look at walk by a plant and it just falls over dead. So maybe we need to, what can we do to point you in a direction where you can have better experiences? What student organizations come along or student opportunities come along that we can point you towards? We communicate via email mostly. Texting is becoming more of an option for us. And then we also have some stuff in our learning management system called Canvas that kind of acts like a Snapchat. Now, I don't know anything about Snapchat. I really don't. But I can put a message on my learning management system that says, hey, we're having a Collegiate FFA meeting tonight at 6:30. I'd love for you to be there. My point with all this is that don't be overwhelmed. Come reach out. I think if you don't take anything away from these conversations we're having, is we've all said multiple times, and we wouldn't say if we didn't mean it. We want to help. We want to be here. We want to answer your questions. So just lean on us. We've been down the path. We understand the where the pitfalls are and where the highs and lows. And so let us help you navigate that. You don't need to feel like you're going into this alone or you have to know everything. That's not the expectation. You just need to, well, maybe the expectation is that you trust us a little bit to help you and point you in the right direction. And if you'll do that, then you'll get to where you want to be, and you'll do it efficiently, and you'll have the experiences that you need to go and do what you love to do and be a part of the profession that we've highlighted for you today. So don't stress about this. Should be exciting. This should be, woohoo, I can't wait. I'm so excited to be engaged with these folks that want to help me. I've never experienced this kind of support in my life. I'm so excited to be a part of something like that. So just lean on that a little bit. And while I have the floor, I'll give you one piece of advice, and maybe we're going to go. What's next, Mr. Jones? Are we going to get to share a little
time, actually? So,
we're
but we'll close. But we want to offer up any questions.
I'll save my advice for you.
Give us your advice, please.
Well, my advice would just be, while you're in high school, if you're not taking a foreign language and you're a junior or you're a sophomore and your school's telling you that, well, you don't have to take foreign language, because if you're doing the Oklahoma Promise, computers or technology is going to serve as that requirement. You're going to need foreign language, and you're going to prefer to take it in high school for 2 years, the same foreign language with a grade of B or better, so that you can say that you're proficient in foreign language, and you don't have to take a foreign language when you get to high school. Okay. So Payson, you're grinning like you got this. Are you in like Spanish 2? No. Are you in Spanish 1? No. Okay. Well, I'm talking to you. So maybe we can do something about that. All right. That's all I got. Thanks, Mr. Jones.
Thank you. I am watching the clock, and I do want to honor everyone's time, especially those presenters and folks that have been with us for their whole day, essentially. And so, but I don't want to cut the conversation short. If there's any questions that anyone does have, what I will also recommend and tell you is you will receive a follow-up email from me. And I do appreciate your participation in this virtual option. This is something we thought was important to offer those that cannot travel or could not make the in-person events. And do not hesitate to reach out to these folks. They're here giving up their time because they want to know you. They want to get to know you and develop a relationship with you as you are on your pathway to teaching agriculture education. And to circle all the way back to the subject of this, we realize that in the pathway, there are a lot of different forks and a lot of different directions that you may end up going down in terms of coursework, in terms of student involvement, in terms of the school that you even attend. But just know that now is the time to start thinking about that and be proactive in all ways. And I will say, I know probably Bree and Taryn can both relate. Every time I would walk in and visit with an advisor in that role, sit in their office and kind of express some of my concerns, I always left feeling a little bit better. And so what I tell you is so that you will reach out and start talking about them. If you have any concerns about what I need to do, I said it to our folks that were in person this morning. These are very approachable people, and they're all about recruiting the best. And you guys have shown that you're committed and you're interested, and you've already got a good foot in the door for that. And so you've now made that first step, and let's continue to make that step in making those plans. So whether you're talking to Bree or Taryn or our folks at Northwestern or OSU, do not hesitate to reach out. And also us, I'll speak on behalf of Mr. Dean and Ms. Dale and I, as a part of in-service committee of teachers. We've all been through what you're going through as high school students. May have been longer for some of us like me, but we do know kind of how you're feeling right now. And so don't hesitate to talk to us too. It's nice to get a different perspective from your own ag teacher every once in a while. Okay. But with that, I'm going to close unless anyone has any other questions or any other additions to be made.
Mr. Jones.
Yes, go ahead.
I might just add something and tell you guys that we haven't really talked about it today, but I think it's something that's very, a phone number, whether you write it down or put it in your head or whatever, 1-800 I have it by memory, 1-800-522-5810. That is the State Department, Oklahoma Department of Career Tech. Plain and simple, your FFA staff or your State Department staff. Use that number and call those district supervisors. And I will tell you, every one of them has the same passion. Every one of them can help direct you. If you've got a question, say, hey, I'd like to see a program that looks like this, or I'd like to be interested in this. They know where those programs are at. They know those teachers. I'd also tell you, use those people to become involved, because all of them has the same passion for agricultural education that we do. And it's also very good when you get out to be familiar with them, maybe to get a job for job placement. So keep those people interested. I said, that's a phone number. I started teaching class yesterday, and I said, this is going to be your first test question. I told my teacher, I said, 1-800-522-5810. You need to know that without question, because never fail to ask those people to help you. I think of all the decisions that I've made through this. I don't think I've ever had a success or ever had a decision that I haven't had somebody's input, or at least had some good input in helping support what I was doing. So don't forget those people also. That's it. Thank you, Mason.
Yeah, thank you. With that being said, we will close. I'm going to give just a virtual round of applause to our presenters. I appreciate them. Before I close, I will point your attention to the chat. There's a lot of really good information that was dropped there. I'm going to leave it open just for a minute or two for you to gather those. Click on those links. And if you didn't happen to get those saved, I'm sure we'll be able to reach out. You can send a message to me and I can get that, but I'll leave that open for a moment just so that you can go and pull those open, bookmark those files, bookmark those websites. You're seeing folks add their email address, and with their permission, I'll try to send that as a follow-up email as well, include the contact information from the folks that you've heard from today. And so with that being said, I appreciate you for joining us, and be looking for a follow-up email from me as it relates to the conclusion of this virtual experience. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.